G Park. Jeff will cut it. Hello. Hi, everybody. I can't believe this year's gone so fast. I'm ready to get the 2022 over. I have enough of 2022. Uh, how many episodes is now? I had
I
lost
think we're up
count.
around 120.
120 episode.
Approximately
We wouldn't
120.
know. And now the everybody is out and about gradually. We actually still we're gonna continue to do the podcast project because I enjoy share my growing experience, and this is one of them. I'm really excited. This is the project I done this past summer, and uh, what do you think about this? Okay, this is the tissue clone that we did it ourselves. Uh, I, it's actually is a wildcat hybrid, uh, and the clonal name is called Los Robles. I like the Los Robles because when they do, unfortunately, there's no flower yet, but I do want to share with you the result of it. This is also the best stage to ship because they are just perfect staging. Because this variety can get as tall as 36 inches and that is tall, but then it's too big to ship. You know, you don't want just the shipping alone will be 35, 40, even $50 for shipping because of dimensional weight. But this is the best stage to ship for you. How many of you have grown the wildcat? You know, Adenocedium. Everybody know the wildcat. I'd like to share with you the wildcat story. Wildcat is actually made by the Rob McClellan of South San Francisco. They're no longer in business because they sold to Tasuco America. But if you are in this 80 and 90, Rob McClellan is the orchid in South San Francisco. They're the one that pioneered a lot of the custom beryllium, Caceraria. They're also the one that marketed the first super soil, the super soil for the houseplant. And we are very good friends with the company. And back in about 90, 97, 98, one of the managers, Jeff, he called me because, hey, Norman, I got this Oncidium intergenetic hybrid. I haven't registered yet, but I don't think I got enough sun in South San Francisco. And if you've been to South San Francisco, just like the weather will be just like the airport at San Francisco, always cloudy, always foggy. So he haven't he have the community park. And in California, when we say community park, he mean by the tree. She said, well, I have 100 compact community tray of seeding about blooming size. I can't get in flower, and my boss is mad at me, you know, taking too much space, you know. What he made me offer, and I said, just next time you come up with a U truck, and just take it away from me, and I did. So I did. I brought him back to Southern. If you look at these, I'm also the first person to introduce wildcat to South San Francisco after Hurricane Andrew back in 1997. Okay, well, we got invited to do this the Miami International Show. After the Hurricane Andrew, everybody, a lot of growers, lots of greenhouses. So, but they do need grower to fill the space for the show. And at that time, wildcat is one of the orchid that I introduced to San Francisco, and people don't believe that they can grow it down in South Florida, because back those days, if they never seen the local grower grow them, they can do it. And I say, that's just interesting, because then I had to explain to them, you know, the breeding background. Okay, this is when the judges come along. The Oncidium intergenetic wildcat has the species called Oncidium lococardum, which is a native to Mexico, and we can grow it outdoor in Southern California. It is one of the species from the west coast of Mexico, they hardy down to about 35. You know, the leaf might be got so mixed up, but they're very hardy. They take heat tolerance, and they give you the flower spike about maybe 2 feet tall. And they also had a species called Miltonia worcestershire. It's a mouthful. Now it's called Oncidium type. Oncidium worcestershire is a miniature species, have fragrance, and they have good branching habit. So a lot of the species in the background, I say, hey guys, all these species are from either from Mexico, heat tolerant, or South American species, the tropical. There's no reason that you cannot grow it. Try it. Okay, so now everybody know you can grow a wildcat. So back to that 100 compound. When I got down to here, one of the locations we have at the time in Chino, about 10-15 minutes from the nursery in Montclair, that's where I grow them, because I only go there visit to grow flower, to water them only once a week. So they will go in the pot. We transplant to a moss pot, and that's why when I start really observe the development of this Oncidium wildcat. Sure enough, when they start flowering, it's just amazing. That greenhouse, we don't heat them. It goes down to 40 degrees at night. The summertime, it get up to hot 85. It's one of the older greenhouse. It's too harsh to grow Phalaenopsis in there. Really bright light, and so I just toss it in there. You know, sure enough, they take the temperature in the greenhouse. They don't have the ideal temperature, believe it or not. They do not have the ideal temperature. The summertime, the temperature can range from 85 to 95. Okay, low humidity, and wintertime, they down to about 40, 45, because we try to save energy. It's a huge old glass house, really tall. So you just cannot afford to heat that greenhouse that much. And this is why, you know, they gave me that compound, because they imagine how much heat they had to use at South San Francisco. So that is when I started learning really to grow. Not many people know this, but I also one of the best Oncidium intergenetic grower, because our temperature here is really optimum, because day and night temperature there's about more than 20 degree difference. Okay, so out of that 100 compound, we think we must get at least 12 American Orchid Society award out of that. The best one is one called Norman. They got an AMAOS, the red one. So then that is the next generation of this one here. Okay, remember the name? You can Google the name later. It's on our website. It's available now. It's MCAA2, and the hybrid is registered, but this is the clone that we remake, and I gave it a clonal name called Los Robles. Los Robles like tree, and this particular clone is probably out of the best from the wildcat. So this is why every orchid have a story, especially if you know the breeding background. No, this is not another wildcat or another Oncidium that you will find at the box store. Okay, it's all about type and breeding. Okay, just like when you want to get your dog, right, your golden retriever, you want to get the best breeding, because you know the best breeding, you will not have a problem. It's all about type and breeding.
Genetics.
Yeah, the genetic. So you always start from best. So I was looking at this the other day, and I said, gee, this is my bragging right. I'm really proud of this one here. And what I did before is, remember I always said 1 teaspoon per gallon of Norman's fertilizer, right? A small teaspoon per gallon. But I know the Oncidium, the wildcat type, and the active growing season. When I say active growing season is when in the springtime, when you have a shoot coming out like this. The Oncidium, the active growing season is from April to October. This is the period, the 6 month is their vegetative season. Okay, this is very similar to Catatante Los type also. So instead of, I always say a teaspoon per gallon because that is very overall general. That's very low on the low side, lower nitrogen, because that is a safe gauge for Paphiopedium, Phalaenopsis. Some of your micro mini species, the ghost orchid, they do not need that much nitrogen. But a lot of Oncidium or Catalea, anything the bright light type, during that 6 months of vegetative season, they can use a lot of feeding. And so this is what I'm going to share with you. The other, you can push the envelope. So this is what happened in the batch, that instead of small teaspoon, okay, so you can actually do it with your collection. All these are the bright light type. So you can put all your Oncidium type, in particular this type, Cattleya, your Dendrobium, Dendrobium, whether it's Dendrobium Phalaenopsis type, the one flowering in the fall, or the Nobile type, okay? Put them together, they should be in the bright light. This, instead of 1 small teaspoon per gallon, during the active 6 month period. Okay, remember now, we had long day, naturally long day, short night, a lot of light, a lot of humidity, for those in the south, and a lot of heat, high temperature, they can use it. Okay, so instead of 1 small teaspoon of Norman's Optimum fertilizer, you use a tablespoon. A tablespoon is equal to 3 teaspoons. You follow me? Okay, so so this is the 6 months you give them what they need. This is the period you cannot overwater them. On Sydney Wildcat type and this type, especially this variety, or the Catatante type, they just love water. They will suck up all the water you can give it to them, providing the right amount of fertilizer. Okay, the nitrogen in Norman's Optimum fertilizer had no urea in there. It's all optimum ratio of the nitrate and ammonium nitrogen form. So they're really good for the summertime, and by now they also have good for the wintertime. So this is the end of the October, and once the suitable mature, okay, this is on the good, you can actually get 2 spike out of this, okay, and
I think some even have more.
Yeah, some of them, yeah, hold on, and oh yeah, this is just a typical, and but we also, just like when I used to do a research back in college, any good data, we need to have at least 100 print. So we actually, have about 500 print in this trial. We put it in different greenhouses. Let's do this one by one. Okay, this only give me 1 spike. And you notice all this extra vegetated. Okay, that's not what you want. Yeah, this is the greenhouse. This is in the greenhouse with the Phalaenopsis, lower light. So under the lower light, with this much in 1 tablespoon per gallon, also that means you bump it up the nitrogen 3 times. So with low light, you're gonna, instead of give you big, prompt, suitable, you're getting a lot of this vegetation. So now, so remember, if you want to do this, make sure you give it a lot of light, because you are feeding them 3 times of the fertilizer. Okay.
They're going through more water as well.
Yes, they are. So this is what happens when you get too low or light with the Phalaenopsis. This is what you're going to get. So they only give you 1 spike, leaf, and then I see a secondary spike, because if you peel them up, there's another spike, but they're not coming up at the same time. Okay, so this is under too low. Now this is what I call the Optimum. This is in my Cattleya light. This is the type. Look at the size. This is in my greenhouse 17. Summertime we have at least 300 feet, and so this is from one bowl, see here,
That's impressive.
to here. I should sell this by the pound. Okay, instead of, so this is what I usually like to see. So suitable like this, and at the same time we still apply mega dry in between. So the only difference is on all this is the light requirement, and so this is really bright light, and with the help of mega dry, the mega dry really help them speed it up and utilize the fertilizer instead of typical 25%. What you feed them, maybe the plant maybe only use the 25%. Okay, they maximize to 60% or more, so that what you feed them, they can really utilize it, and this is what you get. And also coming up at the same stage. So this is what if I'm teaching for culture, this is actually very good for this variety, can use as a cut flower also. And the best part is they can flower twice a year. Okay, so this is very proud, and this is another one. Occasionally I have, Jeff, can you show this? I have one center one, and they have 3 sides at the same time. It's almost like this coming at the same time. So this might be, if I give it more light, it will become like this next year. Okay, so what about the drawback of this high feeding? Okay, the drawback is, okay, well, first of all, make sure you do a leaching. When I say leaching, remember, we do water once a month. The high feeding, high fertilizer is going to result, sometimes you going to get some soil damage, and they will tell you by here. See here, the tip on the foliage. This is foliage, because we have 1 tablespoon per gallon of water. So obviously your EC, your salinity, your salt will be higher. So make sure when you do water them, okay, when they're wet, they're very dark. Make sure you double water. When I say double water them once, come back the water again twice. That way you can leach out the salt in the water. If you are really dry, sometime, once the moss is wet, they are very dark. Okay, you can always tell them. And I think, look at the moss. Okay, so you can tell that this is actually been dry before. There's 2 colors, and they're all very dry. They're all very wet right now. Look at the root system on this. Okay, they're very, very healthy. Assuming this is really dry, you can also do a dunking way. You know, just let it sit in there, and that is, it's very hard to really wet the oncidium in the moss when they're really, really dry. So you can soak it and make sure the drain from the bottom really drained. So when you water once a month, you do a double water, the minute water, and then you can water again to make sure it's drained. That way you can wash out the salt. And if you do that, you're not going to see any salt damage. You see, you got perfect leaf. You get it? Okay, so this is, if you follow this simple rule, okay, and right now, I'm going to put, we can have this twice. This is the clone that we get into flower twice a year, spring and fall. So this is the crop that is going to for next spring. So This is the perfect stage to get them in right now. Okay, I think we have two sizes, the premium size, 1 to 2 spike, and there's another size called jumbo, 2 to 3 spike, and this is the size for, I think, for 68 hours. This is the size, the jumbo size. This is what you're gonna get. So get them in right now, and then you finish them, put it with your regular Oncidium in Cattleya, and imagine when you go to your orchid meeting next March and April, you're gonna get best Oncidium, best of the show, and the bragging right.
How big are those flowers?
The flower is just like the wildcat. It's about, you know, bigger than the size of a quarter, and it's spectacular.
So a lot of them.
It's a lot of them. Yeah, it's like. Okay, so I just want to share this with you. So a bit, go back again. During the period, but what about now? The suitable is mature now. You don't need to feed them as much now. Cut back. If you want to feed them, go back to regular, a teaspoon per gallon of water. You only do this high feeding during the active vegetative stage. Right now, the day is short, night is long. They want the flower, so you don't want to feed them that much anymore.
You prefer moss over bark for these?
For this type, Catasetum too. If a lot of you go to Catasetum or Cenotes, I like the moss because our summer is really hot and dry. Now, if you live in like Sunny live in Louisiana, it's really wet. You can actually do some bark with some chopped moss in there. But if you live in because we're talking about broad spectrum of customer here. We have a lot of customer in Texas, Arizona. They grow in that, especially Arizona. They're really dry like here. You want to use the moss because the moss will help retain the water. You notice on this one grow in the moss, they always moist, so they never dry between water. The minute they start dry between water, the bottom leaves start falling off. Notice this. All this original bottom virgin leaf still there, right? A lot of time, if they are dry between water or they got dry out, the first thing, the physiology, the plant defense system is they're going to suck up the water, the nutrient from the bottom leaf, and that's when the bottom leaf will premature fall out earlier. Okay. So this is a good practice. So by next spring, I will remind you again, we can apply this theory. Okay, put all your Cenote, Cattleya, Catasetum type, solid next March when they get into the vegetated. And now we're going to review this again in by March, and remind me. We're going to do that practice. We're going to work this together the whole 6 months. And then you guys, I just want to share this with you. I'm very excited about this. I know I can push this, but what about if you ask me, what about if your water is not good? Now, if your water is high salt, that's okay. Instead of 3 tablespoons, instead of 3 teaspoons, which is 1 tablespoon, you can cut it down to just 2 teaspoons. Look it up. If you're getting a lot of salt damage, okay. If you're getting a lot of salt damage like this at the tips, that's plant telling you, hey, I'm too much because my water is high salt already, okay. And cut back. Or if you're getting a lot of this tip, that also tell you you're not doing enough leaching, because whatever did not use on the high salt is still in the pot. You need it fresh. That's why always the leaching is double water. Sometime in the summertime, even triple 3 watering, because our water in the summertime, because by the time they import water from Colorado, is really high salinity, high EC. Okay, and other than that, enjoy. And if you ever have the last plant to purchase this year, this is the one. Okay.
What about Mega Thrive? I stepped out for a minute. Did you cover how much Mega Thrive?
Mega Thrive is the same. make it dry, the water, everything the same. It's just the fertilizer ratio. Instead of small teaspoon per gallon of water, we actually bump it up to a tablespoon.